Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to sightedmoon.com. I'm Stuart Wilson, one of the hosts for this service. Joseph Dumond is in Jerusalem with Randy and is with us today. It is February 24th, 2024 on the Gregorian calendar in North America at this time, with the barley yet to be confirmed ready for the wave sheaf offering on the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread on Sunday, March 3rd. Today is either the 13th day of the 13th month of the year 5859 after the creation of Adam, or the 13th day of the first month of 5860 years after the creation of Adam. We are preparing and practicing as if this is the month of Aviv, and that the barley will be ready for the wave sheaf offering on Sunday, March 3rd. And so we will be commemorating the Last Supper of Yeshua and his disciples this evening with the Passover Sunday evening in our homes. And we will be holding a service for the first day of unleavened bread on Monday, February 26th, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is our Shabbat service for today. Thank you for joining us. We have heard the blast of the shofar from Shane. We have worshiped in song led by Rebecca. We have approached Jehovah in prayer led by Sombra and Shauna. And we have heard the Aaronic blessing recited by Shane. Thank you, Shauna, for welcoming the family today. We are pleased to have all of you with us today. Forgive me. We have Joe with us today from Jerusalem, who will speak about the Last Supper and the foot washing service. And then afterwards, we will read our Torah portion for this week. And to get us started, we have Bobby B, who will open us up in prayer.
Shalom, all.
Shalom.
Holy Father, Jehovah God Almighty, Father, our sustainer, our creator, our beloved hope, our beloved power. Father, I get humbled to the point of devastation. Father, it seems the words of today with the world are confusion, frustration. Father, as we watch all these things unfold, what's going on, I'm so thankful and bowing before you, thanking you for opening our eyes, keeping us at peace, guarding our minds from running all over the place to all these other things, trying to figure out what's going on and confusion and chaos. Father, thank you for opening our minds, for giving a taste of your spirit, for filling us with knowledge and love and hope. And Father, I know I get frustrated at times sharing with people. I was all morning sharing with folks. And I thank you so much for the people that enjoy reasoning rather than dragging down or making insults or derogatory comments. Father, thank you for that, for those edges of hope. For anger seems to take over at times. Lord, help me, Father, control any kind of anger and trying to spell your truths. Father, that I would stay a light of peace and joy and hope to the people I'm sharing this with. And although it seems so far away, Father, at one time it was far away from us, even though we were doing our best in what we thought to serve you. Thank you, Father, for leading us back to the paths of righteousness through you, through your word, Father, just through your word. Thank you for the ability to study. I want to thank you for each and every one here today. For Father, I don't know what I would do without the weekly Sabbath. It gets tough. I'm glad you're always by our sides, Father. I'm glad you're always there to lift us up, to fill us with the hope and the knowledge necessary to go through the things that are coming. I want to bless you and thank you for Joe, for his ability to humble himself to the point of learning and turning. And Father, helping us to learn and share with one another what we are gleaning from what we are studying. It's such a joy, Father, to be together with folk with this mindset, with these, just holding to your truths. Father, as we look forward to your holy days, just want to humble our hearts and thank you for humbling us. The sin becomes so evident and wicked. The closer and closer we get to understanding. Father, thank you for keeping us away. Father, I ask that you strengthen us to stay away, and Father, to overcome anything that's dealing with any one of us. Father, that you would heal those insecurities or heal those any kind of confusion, that we would follow you with a pure and contrite heart, that the armor of God, Father, through the power of your word, would protect us through these things as the arrows are flying in. It seems at times from all over. I thank you for the peace we experience today. I thank you for the peace and the joy we experience with one another in the sharing. And even when it gets heated at times, Lord, I just thank you that the reasoning of your spirit always shines through and brings us to the truths of your word. Father, again, we bow before you. Thank you for today. Bless this time with all of us. And Father, be first and foremost constantly in our hearts and minds. Soften the hearts of folk we're trying to discuss things with, trying to reason with, that you would open their minds if you're calling them also. And Father, since we don't know any of these things, I fear for my family or extended family, close friends who don't know. And Father, for what's coming, I don't want to watch them go through all that. You hurt inside, but I don't want to become cold, Father. I don't want to turn a back. Father, just keep us strong, keep us upright and forthright, staying with clarity and confidence that the power of your word, that you are in absolute control of everything. We bow before you and thank you for these things. We thank you for what you've done and look forward to all you're going to do in our lives. In your Son, our Lord Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen.
Wow.
Thank you, God. Well, we're pleased that Joe and Randy are in Jerusalem. They're going to be watching over the barley for the next 7 days or so and giving us updates. Joe, would you like to take over now?
No, I've actually just kind of enjoying myself. Wow, Stuart's taking over. I don't have to do anything because normally, as soon as Somber starts saying the "Oh say shalom bimrama," oh yeah, say, I start panicking. Oh no, I got to get ready. Oh no, okay, go to the washroom, blow your nose, get ready. You're on. I didn't have to do that today. So thank you, Stuart, for stepping in. And I've asked Stuart to step in because usually when I come to Israel, I don't know what's going to happen. And so just in case I couldn't be here tonight, Stuart stepped in, and that's awesome. I thank him very much for that. And I thank all of you for the part you play to make this Shabbat service available for everybody. It's not just me. It's not about me. It's about all of us sharing what we know together. And that's what the Midrash is about. So I thank Stuart and I thank everyone else that takes part in that. But today, so let me, first of all, Somber, are you still there? I don't see, it's not in her chair.
Summer's in the other room right now.
Okay, just, did I tell her what to say today, what prayers to say today? And she'll say no. No, I never tell her what to say. I say, I want to, because we're in the 10 days of awe, I want to start focusing on the Silco prayers. So she's doing that, but she doesn't tell me exactly what she's doing. I trust her. But man, she read Psalm 27:13. What if I had not seen the wonders of you? What if I hadn't waited on you? What a powerful, those last two verses of that scripture, of that psalm. Just unbelievable. Rebecca, are you still there? Rebecca Corlin.
Yes, I'm here.
Did I tell you what songs to play today?
Never.
Never. Never. She never listens to me. My music taste is so bad. But she played, and when she played it, I started, and you can ask Randy, I'm just jumping up and down. And I'm over there smacking him on, not in the back, but just, Listen to what she's saying. She played, now I didn't catch the name of it. Becca, what is the name of that song that you played about Abraham and Isaac?
The binding of Isaac.
The Binding of Isaac. And just in the first opening scenes, you saw Abraham taking his son, loading the wood on his back, taking the donkey and going off. And Randy was asking how many days journey that was. I forget, 2 days, 1 day. I don't know how far it was from Hebron up to Jerusalem. It's not that far. I think you could walk that in a day. And he takes him, he builds an altar on Mount Moriah, which is today called Golgotha. It's across from the city of Jebus because Abram was in Jebus when Melchizedek was there. So it's across from the city of Jerusalem. And he goes to offer his son.
It's 3 days.
It took 3 days? Okay.
And that's where it talks about that God gave back to Abraham his son Isaac 3 days later, because when he started chopping the wood, he killed Isaac in his heart. So it's a type and shadow of how many days that God would receive his son back.
Very cool. So he gets there. Okay, so Eric just said he killed him the day he started killing the wood or chopping the wood, but he still had to talk to him, feed him, and answer his questions along the way until he got there. But he had to walk 3 days and get there, build the altar, put the firewood on it, and get it set up, tie up Isaac, and go to the very last moment. The very last moment before Jehovah stepped in and stopped him. Abraham's thinking, if I'm Abraham, I'm thinking, where does God say I have to kill people? Where does God say I have to sacrifice my own kids? Where does God say that? What part of the Torah am I missing here? Do I not understand? I don't know, but I know that was God and I'm going to go do it. Like that. Think about what Abraham did. That's got to be the hardest thing in the world. But he did it. And in the book of Hebrews, it says, I think it's Hebrews, it says that Abram was considered a friend of Jehovah. Not just a servant, not just a follower, a friend. How many of you are a friend of Jehovah? Dare anybody put up their hand? How do you become a friend of Jehovah? By faith. By faith. So, everything that everyone said so far is coming together to what I'm going to talk about right now. And it's just blowing me away because, there's a bunch of people here about the barley. What are you doing about the Passover before the barley? What are you doing? We don't have barley. The Passover, how can you do this? Are you crazy? I don't know what to do. Okay, I've told you what to do. I've been telling you now for a while. Keep the Passover. Bottom line, keep the Passover. Okay, let me share with you. Well, I can't do it. We don't got barley. Okay, faith, Abraham. Share the button. Share screen. Got to retrain my brain here. Hold your question till I'm done, please. For now, I want to finish saying what I'm going to say, and I'll probably answer a bunch of your questions. So this is the month we're in right now. You can see the date down here. This is the 12th month of Torah calendar. But here's the date. We are at February 24th, this Shabbat, right here. You can see my mouse, right, Randy? Yes. Just reach over and smack him if he doesn't listen. So today is February 24th. Here's Wave Sheaf Day down here. This is going to be Passover on Sunday night. Passover day, the first day of unleavened bread is the 15th, is Monday. You eat 7 days of unleavened bread. and you got to eat the Passover meal with unleavened bread. That's why the Passover meal is eaten Sunday night, and then 7 days of unleavened bread brings us to the seventh day, which is next Wave Sheaf Day on the 3rd of March. It's the 21st day of the month. Wave Sheaf Day will always be on the 21st day of the month. The seventh day of unleavened bread will always be on the 21st day of the month. That's the way the holy days work. From the 15th of the month to the 21st day of the 7 days of unleavened bread. But somewhere every year during those 7 days, because it moves throughout the week, Sunday could be the first day, or it could be the second day, or it could be the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or in this year, it's the seventh day. But it's always during the 7 days of unleavened bread. Now this year, that's 21 days from the beginning of the first month. It's 21 days. 21 days. On the first day, do you know if we got barley? Some years we do. On the 10th day, people are, Becca Bitterman saying that we got to have barley by the 10th day. That's not in Torah. That's Becca Bitterman's decision as to her cutoff date. That's her decision. That's not written in Torah. You got to have barley by the 10th day of the month. But all of a sudden, everyone's saying that now. Now, if you've been following me for any length of time, Nehemiah Gordon showed me about the barley in 2005. And that's when I started keeping the barley as my timing for the festivals. I met Nehemiah in 2008. I went and seen the barley in Israel being kept somewhere in 2009 or 10. And Nehemiah took me out and showed me in one of those 2 years. I forget which one. And then I've been looking at it again, and I've gone out with him one more time after that, looking for the barley at Passover. During that time, Nehemiah said if he could have a handful of barley, he would declare it the month of Aviv. Right? Just a handful of barley. Now, since then, sometime in 2016, I met Nehemiah again, and he told me that he was going to stop searching for the barley. And I said, well, who's going to do it? He didn't know. But then Devorah took over, and they started doing it. Joel Halevi was also doing it with them at the time, and Joel was doing it before as well. And I know Joel. And the barley, instead of being just a handful, now we needed a fieldful. And then after that, it changed from needing a fieldful to needing to what last year, I think it is, all the farmers all over Israel needed to have a wave sheaf offering to offer. Every farmer all over Israel. Again, where does it say you need a fieldful, and where does it say you need all the farmers? And where does it say now, because this is the newest thing that I've understood, and Becca may have had it for a number of years, but I never understood that that's what she meant, that you had to have it by the 10th day. If that's your decision, great. If you got to have barley by the end of the 12th month, as the Karaites do, then that's your decision. Great, live by it. Some of you are following Devorah. She's not keeping Passover, not next month, not this month, not next month, but in 2 months' time. That's a month after the Hillel people, Hillel calendar. If you're following her, great, knock yourself out. But at sightedmoon.com, we have always, since I first learned this in 2005, kept the barley as having to be ready by Wave Sheaf Day. In 2016, we said, we don't need barley by the end of the 12th month. Nehemiah declared a 13th month. We said, no, we need the barley by Wave Sheaf Day. Nehemiah went out on Wave Sheaf Day on my behalf, not because I asked him, not because I begged him. He just did it to prove a point. The barley was Aviv and shattering on Wave Sheaf Day in 2016. And that was the year we split away from the Karaite group, but Nehemiah confirmed what I was saying. We have done that since before. We continue to do that now. We have not changed our position ever on the barley. It's got to be ready on wave sheaf day. Now in 2024, this year, that's 21 days after the month begins. Will the barley be aviv by the 21st day? How many of you know this sitting in Australia? Nobody. How many of you know this in North America? Nobody. Why don't we know it even though we're sitting here in Jerusalem? Actually, we're actually in Tel Aviv right now. Because Jehovah said, the day and hour no one knows is going to come in a day and time that nobody can know. The Feast of Trumpets comes at a day and hour no one knows. You can't predict it years in advance. Why? Because you don't know when the barley is going to show up. And this is a perfect example of why no one can know the day or the hour. Okay? Is this the month or is it next month? Now, Rebecca played that song about Abraham having faith. I'm not supposed to kill my son, but he had faith. I'm not supposed to kill my son, and he walked for 3 days. I'm not supposed to kill my, but he had faith, and he went to do it. Where's your faith? Is that something you talk about on Facebook? Talking to everybody about how much faith you got when you don't got any? I see your comments. I see your double standards. I see your hypocrisy. If this is the first month, again, if, capital I, capital F, how do you prove it? You won't know until wave sheaf day. Knowing it on the end of the 12th month doesn't tell you nothing. You still got 21 days, potentially. Knowing it on the 10th day doesn't tell you. You still got 11 days, potentially. Today is the 24th day. Now, Rebecca went out on the 20th of, on Tuesday. She made a report. And she said she found barley in the worm stage. Have you printed off this chart? Let me get rid of that thing there. Can I do that? Virtual choose, virtual blur. No, choose there. Get rid of that one. None. Okay. Have you printed that off? Do you even look at this stuff and look at it? You can't go by these dates. Really? Guess what? They're very close. They're not 100%, but they're very close. Becca said that on January 20th, the barley was coming out of the head. Okay? So it's heading. That is this stage right here. 20 or 51 to 59. Okay, so now all you got to do is add so many days onto that. 40 days onto that will bring you to this stage when it's right. Yeah, but there's cold weather. There's snow and there's rain. It was raining here today. Guess what? It spit. And it was close to 70 degrees. I had my t-shirt on all day. Guess what the barley's doing? Sucking in that warmth, sucking in that juice, getting ready to do its thing. Yeah, but it's raining. We're just getting notification that we're being attacked again. Rocket attacks. But they all seem to be coming from the north. Okay, so what is the barley doing? On the 10th, or actually the 9th, Becca went out, looked at the barley. What did she say? What was her report? Her report was, I just got to check to make sure we don't have to run to a bomb shelter, that's all. Her report was that the barley was in worm stage and almost dough stage, but not enough for an omer. Becca's cutoff date is the 10th. She had to make a decision based on her law. Okay, now, no disrespect to Becca. I am not fighting with Rebecca. I'm not having a war with Becca, nor did I ever have a war with Nehemiah, nor have I ever had a war with Devorah, nor have I had a war with Abib of God, or whatever they're called. I don't care what they all believe. All I want to do is see the reports and look at the barley, and I'll make up my own mind. The same as what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be judging angels. Can you judge an angel? Do you know how to do that? Judge, make a report. So Rebecca said that the barley was in the worm stage, right? Early dough, if anything, but it's in the worm stage. Now, Randy and I went for a little drive today, and we stopped and we had lunch at Shabbat. We weren't trying to kill ourselves. And we went and looked at some barley and some fields. And we parked in a nice park. And during the whole time we're there, we could hear the thump, thump, boom, thump. We're not far from Gaza. We can hear the explosions, and every explosion means that there are people dying. It's serious stuff here. This isn't a game. This isn't some religion that we're playing on Shabbat. Isn't something, get serious with Jehovah. And if you don't like the way I talk and you want to go someplace else, fine. I'm more than happy to see everybody leave and shut this down. I go back to being by myself again. I might miss Sombra a little bit, maybe. But I never wanted to do this. And I'm not doing this to get fame and fortune. I'm just sharing with you what I've learned and studied, and that's what I do each week, and that's what I've done in my books. It's a way to share with you what I've learned. So the barley's in the worm stage. Okay, undo that, Randy. Go back to my chart. And
you have to put your chart up.
Yeah, I have to. How did I take it down? Randy kicked me out.
No, I did it.
Okay. Oh, Sombra's in control. No wonder. Okay. So here's the 9th. That's when Becca reported. It's in the worm stage. We still got, what, 10 days, 11 days to the 21st. So the worm stage, 70 to 81, somewhere in there. Add on 11 days. What do you got? Oh, sorry. Now you got to put the chart back up there, Sombra. Yeah, sorry. You best got to get out first.
It's the wrong picture. Hold on. There we go. Okay.
There you go. So the worm stage. So we got flowering. So the worm stage is 70 to 79. 11 days more brings you to 81 or to 89 or 90. It's very close this year. I admit that. It's very close. When do you need barley? What do we need barley for? Why is barley so important? What's the big deal about barley in the first place? Jehovah said to Moses, this is the month of ripe barley. No, he didn't say that. This is the month of, Valentine's. He didn't say that. What did he say? This is the month of
Aviv.
Green ears.
Aviv.
What is green ears? Aviv. What is Aviv? Green ears. What is green ears? When everything is in the head, right there, yeah, that one or that one. Those two pictures, 61, well, heading 51 to 79. It's coming out of the head. It's green. Everywhere I look in the fields, the whole countryside is green. Everyone thinks that how do they feed their sheep? They're out cutting hay right now. We watched them today with sickles and scythes cutting hay, which is the barley, and putting it in trucks and carrying it down the road. They're not waiting for the barley to be ripe to feed it to their animals. They're stocking up on the hay because the next few months are going to be dry and there won't be any. It's like our winter in North America, only it's summertime here. There's nothing grows here. It's just too hot. Where are we going to be at the end of next week? We're going to be somewhere in the dough stage, right? 81 to 89. When do you need barley? We don't need barley for anything except one reason. Leviticus 2, to make flour for the first fruits offering. That's the only reason we need barley. We don't need barley for anything else. Only for the wave sheaf offering on first fruits. So it could, because we got to make barley, an omer of barley to make barley cakes. You take a handful of the barley, throw it in the fire, and the rest of it, the priests are supposed to eat. Other than that, there's no reason for barley. There's no purpose for it. Understand what Jehovah is doing. The barley is a symbol. It's a symbol of Yeshua coming out of the grave. It's a symbol of the first fruits coming out of the grave. Matthew 27, verses 51 to 53. The first fruits, the barley represents the first fruits, which is to tell you when the rapture is going to take place. If you just look at it and understand, the barley represents the first group of people ever raised back to life, ever in this world. And now you count 50 days later. And as Sarkis keeps telling me, 50 Jubilee cycles later brings us to the time we're in right now, when the next wave offering of first fruits, the first fruits of wheat, which is supposed to be you and me, is about to take place in this Jubilee cycle. The fruit represents people. And if you don't understand the purpose of the barley and the purpose of the fruits, then you're missing the point of studying your Bible. You're supposed to get to know our Father, Jehovah. As I said to Somber beforehand, when Stuart winks at her, she knows what he means. Stuart doesn't have to explain what the wink means. He knows. When he gives her that little smirk, that wasn't a smirk, that was a smack, but a little smirk on the side of his face, a little wink. She knows what that means. Do you know what Jehovah means when he winks at you? Do you know him well enough to understand some of the things he doesn't have to explain? We're in the time when the 24 or the 10 virgins are about to be woken up. 5 of them will understand the wink. 5 of them will not. Which ones are you? The barley is symbolic of the saints being resurrected. The wheat is symbolic of the saints being resurrected. When did that take place? On Wave Sheaf Day, not the 10th day. Yeshua was being examined by the brethren on the 10th day. There was no barley being brought in. If I go to the calendar and I can look up when the Wave Sheaf Day was that year, that would be, he was killed on the Wednesday, that would be 5 days later. Instead of 7 was Wave Sheaf Day. So we got 7 instead of 5. So that's what we're here for. Now today, Randy and I went out and we found barley mostly in the head stage or the flowering stage. Fields of it in the flowering stage. We did find some in the worm stage. And we did find some in the dough stage. But what I did not find, was enough to call it an omer. I didn't find that. And today's Sabbath, so we're not going to go beat ourselves up today. We just went for a little drive. In 7 days' time, how much more will we find? It's up to Jehovah to show us. But if we're not here looking, it's the same as Abraham just sitting on the couch and saying, Isaac, you go sacrifice yourself. I'm not going to do that. Abraham had to get up and walk. Randy and I had to come here and look. It's not that we don't believe what Rebecca's saying, but she's got different standards than what we do for the barley. And it behooves us to come and represent what we believe and look. Now, I've been saying for quite a while that Judah needs to repent. They need to repent, of what they were doing before October 6th. Nobody wants to listen to me. Everybody's still in the sympathy mode, and I get it. I understand that. I just got a message today that there's a group of Messianic believers going to be going down to the memorial at Be'eri on Monday, Passover Day. They don't know it's Passover Day. They're still on the Hillel calendar, most of them. And they're going to be asking Jehovah for forgiveness. And I'm thinking I just might join them. I don't want to go to Be'eri. It's going to be too emotional. Because the day that slaughter took place, I was in Jerusalem wondering what was going on. And had they succeeded in what they said they wanted to do, we might not be sitting here talking to you today. So, there's a lot of things going on, but that is the situation with the barley. You must understand at sightedmoon.com, we go by barley being ready by wave sheaf day. Always have, and I have not any reason to change my mind. Those people who want to have it on the 10th, knock yourselves out. Those people who want to have it by the end of the 12th, knock yourselves out. But if you want to start having it comfortable so you can plan your dates in advance, go to the Hillel calendar. If you want to live by what Yeshua said, no one knows the day or the hour, then man, are we living it out right now? Because we got clues, but we just don't know for sure, not until the end. Not until we get to Mount Moriah and raise that knife up to sacrifice our son.
Joe?
Yeah.
So if the first fruit, if you can find a field of or an omer's worth of something that's in the milk stage right at the moment, what happens 30, 40 days from now? So 30 days from today
Okay.
is the
So
day
let's-
before Passover.
let's
40
just
days.
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say everything, there is nothing in the worm stage and there's nothing in the dough stage. Let's go to the flowering stage.
Okay. So
Lots and lots of fields are in flowering stage right now. We see it. We see even some of the wheat is in flowering. We also see the wheat that's already starting to mature, but it's still mostly empty right now. 30 days from now would be approximately their Passover next month. Actually, March 31st will be the 7th day of unleavened bread. So yeah, Passover will be, and then wave sheaf day will be someplace in between there. I'm not sure. Maybe the 31st. 30 days from 61 gives you 91. Okay, you got fields and fields of barley. What is the first fruits? Okay, what if the first fruits are already on the ground and now you're offering up the second?
right.
Okay, it is very close. I admit that. Becca could very well be correct in her position. I will find out on Friday this week whether we have enough barley for an omer on wave sheaf day. So I will give updates through Telegram. Facebook does not work for me. You guys can share wherever you want. You can share this video with whoever you want. But I'm not getting involved in your barley wars. I'm not getting involved in your crap that you feed each other, arguing back and forth and making your declarations. And I'm not doing that. I'm here to serve Jehovah. Randy's here to serve you all. He's not here to serve me. He's helping me, but he's not serving me. He's going to search this out for himself and he's going to determine it for himself. Because he's a grown ass man. He can do that. You
We
guys are
also-
supposed to be adults here, mature. But I read your comments, I read some of the comments on Facebook that I do get to see or repeated to me. I just shake my head. What a bunch of morons. Okay? Stop your fighting. Stop your bickering back and forth. Well, I just don't know. Yes, you do. Keep Passover now. What that means, I got to keep two. What, you can't do two things for Jehovah? You can't serve him twice? Jehovah, you can't serve twice? No, I got to know. I got to clean my house. Well, clean it now. Yeah, but no, there's no yeah buts. Serve Jehovah. Stop being an idiot. Serve Jehovah. If we're wrong, if I'm wrong, I'm going to admit I'm wrong and I'm going to keep Passover next month. But as you've seen on the chart, if I'm right, Passover's already gone. There's no do-over. You can't keep the second Passover and say, well, I got it wrong. Oops. No, you keep the second Passover if you touch a dead person or you're on a journey. Okay, come on, Jehovah knows your heart. He knows who is following him and who is not, and who's playing a game. I also believe, and I'm not sure if I'm right, but the 10 days of awe are the beginning of the sealing of the saints. How do you seal the saints? Through testing. What are we doing here now? What's Ezekiel 20 talk about? I gave them my Sabbaths for a test. Exodus 12, I think, I gave them my Sabbaths for a test. I gave them manna to test them. And that's not 12, but I forget what chapter that is. I gave them my manna to test them. Why would Jehovah want to just give them the manna? Stop testing us. Leave us alone. It's a test. You want to know? I wrote about this a few weeks ago. It's a test. Everything's a test. This is a test this year. He's testing your faith. Will you pass the test? Will you fail the test? I know what I'm doing. And you don't have to follow me. I don't want you to follow me. I want you to follow Jehovah. What are you doing to follow Jehovah? I know what I'm doing. Randy and I are going to be doing the foot washing ceremony tonight. We're about to begin that. But I got to rant on this a little bit because I read and told some of the things you guys are saying. Maybe not you guys, but maybe some of the ones that are listening, maybe some of the ones that are listening are going to smarten up and grow up. Stop being immature. Stop fighting with everybody.
We had also another example of this early, and do we really have a witness? About 3 months ago, Becca was the only one who sighted the moon, and it was the tiniest little sliver of a moon, and there was a little bit of cloud cover, and she saw it, and she photographed it, and she shared it, and there was nobody else who had the witness. And so the question was, do we start the month based on the witness of just one person? And we did start the month based on the witness of just one person. And then I think a couple days later, people started also saying that they had seen it, but they didn't have a photograph or some such thing or other. But we only had one clear witness that month.
Yeah.
So,
I-
these are other signs of, pay attention to the minute details.
and be patient.
Mhm.
Becca and I are not fighting. Becca and I don't have, a disagreement. We don't agree about when the starting is. I've invited Becca to come down and stay with us and we'll go look for the barley together. She has not yet made a decision, but I think she's in favor of that. If I find the barley, I'm going to give Yoel Halevi a call. He may not come, but they're also going to be going out to look for the barley too at the end of what they believe to be their 12th month. Awesome. If I can get, all these people looking at it at the same time, Yoel and I are not fighting. We're not at war. We're just being witnesses, just reporting. I don't want to hear your opinions. I don't want to hear your sermons. I just want you to witness for me. That's all I want. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to show you the barley. I'll show you the worm. I'll show you the dough. I'll show you the hard. If I find hard, I won't find hard. You guys decide what you want to do. but I'm not going to be involved in your wars. Okay? Just a few questions here. We got to get going on to some other stuff. We're going to run out of time tonight, and I don't know how late I'm going to last. Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to kind of point out the scriptures only have two reasons why you don't keep the first Passover. You talked about it, journey, you're unclean. But if you miss the first Passover, Hezekiah and the Levites and them, they missed it. In other words,
Yeah.
I think if you repent and you go to the Lord and say, listen, I missed the first Passover, Lord, I wasn't on a journey and I wasn't unclean. But if you repent, I think you can do it on the second time that it rolls around on that particular day. If you genuinely missed it, Hezekiah was able to do it, and he was a king, and
Yeah.
the entire nation was wrong. And God goes, okay, I see your heart. You're trying to do what's right. But I think if someone is truly repentive and they want to get it right with God and they're trying to do the right thing, I think it's dangerous to say the only reason why you can do it in the future is if you're on a journey or you're unclean. I think you're setting limitations on what people can
Well,
do.
that's what Jehovah did, and you're right in bringing up Hezekiah.
Right.
Now, the Karaites are keeping it next month. They and Michael Rood, they differed from Devorah and what separated themselves from her report, and they kept it next month,
Right.
last year. And Devorah's a month later. I'm not judging Devorah. I'm not judging the Karaites, and I'm not judging Becca. I'm not judging anybody else. We are all doing what we believe to be right.
Right.
But there's people that are called brethren that are fighting amongst the brethren.
Right.
Stop the fighting.
Well, we're gonna have that until he returns. We've done this to ourselves.
But the barley splits have been going on since the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
They've been going on for a long time. And that's because people are having trouble determining what is Aviv, when is Aviv,
Right.
And we're still doing it. But stop the fighting. Your brethren.
Well, what's kind of interesting though is even Yehovah allows for us to do the second Passover, and there's no feast of unleavened bread during that month. There is no Aviv in that month. There is no barley in that month. So God says this particular feast is so important to me that I'm willing to let you miss the first one and keep it in the second month. It's almost like he's extending grace and mercy to us and saying, this is an important month to me. I'm willing to let you do it in the second month. And you don't have to worry about the Aviv. But when he uses the word ears, I keep thinking that Yeshua says, give them ears to hear. And I think is he referring to the barley? Absolutely. He's referring to the ears or the grain that's on the barley. But I think more importantly is, are we willing to act on what we know that Yehovah is wanting us to do? And in doing so, we do the right thing in God's eyes. So he's saying, give them, and it's interesting that it's the month of Aviv, it's the month of green ears. He's saying, give them ears to hear, to obey what I'm trying to get them to do.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so, stop your judging, stop your condemnations of anybody that doesn't agree with your position.
Right. And I think that's the hardest part is in the gray areas, how do we treat each other? If we don't totally agree, how do we treat each other? That's the big thing. So,
yeah. We agree. Eric and I agree. Oh, no. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad you're in Israel. You need to do me a favor though.
Uh-oh.
You have to go to the Negev.
Yeah, well, yeah, we were.
You know why? I was there 20 years ago, early March, and I saw, at the end of the wildflower bloom and all that, and there were a lot of grasses and I wasn't paying attention to barley at that time, and I wasn't in this walk. And there is. And the beauty about the Negev when you go is when you see after the storm, you would see a mile wide or 2 mile wide stream or a river flowing right into the Dead Sea from the Negev. And so from my perspective, I'm an agronomist. Israel has many climates because of the depth of the Dead Sea and the Galilee. You know, Dead Sea is 400 meter. That's almost, a quarter mile.
So let me tell you, Sarkis, what our plan is, so you know.
Okay.
So tomorrow is Sunday.
Mhm.
Now, I would like to spend Sunday watching the Ten Commandments and watching the Passion.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those are my favorite too.
Yeah, but this year is different, and there's an onus on me to find the barley. So tomorrow, I'm going to go down to the desert with Randy, and we're going to work our way back up,
Mhm.
looking south of Gaza back up towards Tel Aviv. Going zigzagging east and west is what I'm thinking. We're not going over to the Dead Sea area, not tomorrow. So we'll do that
Okay.
tomorrow here, but we got to be back here in time for Passover. And that
Sure.
that journey for me is about an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. So that's the plan for tomorrow. So we'll be back here. We got to go shopping and stuff. And so we'll be back here by 2. Then we are going to do the Jordan Valley, Jericho, the Jordan Valley,
Yep.
all the way up to the fields that we found before on possibly Monday.
Okay.
I may join those Messianic group down at the memorial on Monday. Did I say Monday? No, I meant Tuesday for the Jericho and there. And then after that, I'm hoping to pick up Rebecca, and we'll go where she wants to show us.
Okay.
And we'll see what we find. And at the same time, I want to look at the Northern Galilee up there and the horns of Kittim, and just look at that area for myself. And then later on, I want to get up to Haifa and up in that area. And I don't expect to see anything up there, but I want to take a look. I just want to see where
Sure.
all the country is at the same time. So
Yeah.
I believe right now, unless I find something different in the Jordan Valley, which I could, the focus is right now on the south of Gaza.
That's fine. That's one point I was asking you about, is because the Aviv could have happened last month in January. That's why. Okay, because we had early rain in October, and that hits the 90 days mark in January, and that's why I was just saying that. I'm looking at just hold on to your thoughts there, man.
If you private or email me privately the area that had that early rain and tell me what area you're looking at, I'll take a look at it.
It's going to take me some time, but I'll try.
Well, you got a couple days. You don't need to have it to me right now.
Okay.
Okay.
The other 2 questions I had, and this is personal for me. It's not about. One is, if we are pursuing to identify whether we have first fruit on Omer for the first fruit, to celebrate first fruit, then it puts everybody else in the position that we cannot celebrate the Feast of Unleavened Bread, because we're waiting until first fruit to verify whether we have month of Aviv or not. And if we did, then so many.
Hang on. Let me address that right now.
Hold on, let me finish the point, because there's a reason.
By faith, you should keep unleavened bread right now. By faith.
Well, with all due respect, that's not the issue for me, by faith, because it does not say that. It says this is the month of Aviv, you do it. And that's not personal. It's just I'm asking question because I have a lot of people asking me questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I struggle with it. And it's always good to have different opinions to increase our faith, to improve our walk with the Lord. That's not the issue. The issue here is there are questions. If few of us identify the first fruit as the marker for the month of Aviv, then millions of people will miss out celebrating unleavened bread. And that's sinning, because they're required to attend 3 times a year to come before the Lord.
You've defined their definition. They have to have Aviv before the month, before they can even plan to keep Passover. Why am I here now? Because I know this is the first month and it's around the 15th, and I'm looking for barley, and I know that Am I gonna find barley? That's the part I don't know yet, but I do know this is the time for it to show up. I'm here by faith. I'm here by faith alone. I've got my matzos with me that I bought last year, and I brought it with me so I can eat matzos for 7 days, the 7 days of unleavened bread. If there's no barley at the end of the week, I got matzos back home that I can keep Passover next month at the right time.
That's no okay. That's your choice, and that's what you believe. That's fine, great. But my concern is people are missing out, and now we're calling them that they are sinning because not keeping Feast of Unleavened Bread, and
Well,
that's.
I'm not calling anybody a sinner, but Jehovah does. You eat
Well, but you see,
unleavened
you're using the term
bread.
Jehovah does.
You
but the
eat
verse is
unleavened
you-
bread for 7 days. Those who do eat leavened bread during that time will be cut off. That's Jehovah's words.
Yes, but
That's
the
why this is
timing-
important.
the timing, but Joe, the timing is, and I'm not here trying to argue and fight. It's just that we're having a dialogue to understand, and other people as well, because this is one where people are going to miss out.
But
And therefore-
so Sarkis, I understand we're having a dialogue, and that's good. Now, my voice may go up a little bit, that's okay.
And that's okay.
But why are they going to miss out?
Well, because it requires that you choose the lamb on the 10th day and sacrifice it on the 14th. You're going to miss all of that.
They've made a decision. I've already chosen my lamb on the 15th or the 10th.
Well, you're a month
choice.
late. You could be a month late.
No, I could be a month early.
No, late. It could have
I've
been
already-
last month. Depends on the season where you're looking at the barley. You're
Well,
not.
then-
You're gonna miss. You're gonna miss areas that you haven't seen before, or you're not looking. And so we
Well,
have
then,
to challenge you
like
on
I
that.
said, you tell me where that barley is, where it rained, and I'll go look.
Yeah, but you see, that's what I'm saying. Is why I have to tell you if you haven't started looking at it all over the country, because
I
the
am.
country
I
has
am
all
looking
the
all over the
climates of
country.
the
So-
world.
In north of Haifa, you know what I'm expecting to find? Grass, no heads.
Good.
That's what I'm expecting to find. Let's just use north of Haifa as our definitive as to when the barley is supposed to be. Then we're all gonna miss it. That's why, Becca's looking all over the place. I'm not just looking in one spot. I'm looking all over the place. I got different places I'm gonna go look. I'm looking all over. It's, but here's the thing. Today, Shabbat, everywhere we went, there were hundreds of people in the fields. When Randy and I found barley, that was trampled. But they only
So-
went in so far to see the barley, and then they walked back. There are other people looking for the barley right now. Guess
That's right.
what? We don't know who they are. They could just be regular Jewish people looking for the barley. What we don't have, so if we had all of the state of Israel looking for the barley, there'd be no reason for me to be here. We'd have people, farmers identifying the barley. Hey, my barley's ready already. Hey, Temple Mount, high priest, I got barley that's gonna be ready here by in about 2 weeks' time. How does he know it's gonna be ready in 2 weeks' time? Same way you do, Sarkis. You just look at it, you know the stage of growth it's in. You're an agricultural expert. They would be experts too. You wouldn't need somebody like me coming in and looking. We wouldn't need somebody like Rebecca. We wouldn't need somebody like the Karaites. We'd have the whole country doing it, but we don't have that now. So we can speculate about all kinds of different things, but I'm looking at what I see. I'm a realist. What I see is what I'm going to report.
Well, the other challenge that I'm struggling with is when I heard Becca setting it up at 10 day, I was like, I listened to that and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't see that in scripture. And then when you look saying, okay, I never questioned you before, and now I'm questioning.
Yes, you have. You've questioned me lots
No,
of
no,
times.
hold on, not in this area. And it's good because it's good for me and everybody else because we go dig more and study more and pray more. Okay.
But that's
Uh,
what it's all about. It's not about you listening
okay.
to me dictate to you. It's about all of us digging into our Bibles and finding the answer. And
That's
if we have
great.
difference of opinions or questions, that's what we're here for. That's what we're supposed to be doing here. It's a midrash.
And the questions I have is I can't find it where I have to verify the month is Aviv based on the 10th day or on the first fruit during unleavened bread. It's not there. So my question is everybody's creating their own traditions and teachings of men, and therefore I mean, I just left the church, so I don't want to deal with the teachings of man and traditions of man, and now I'm coming into it again?
Yep.
Well, here's the thing. What does the word first fruit mean? And if your cutoff date cuts off the opportunity for the first fruit to not be taken and end up shattered on the ground, then what has your cutoff date done to your first fruit?
Very simple, Sombra. It's where you're looking at. If you're not looking beyond the whole area and you're only looking in certain areas, then the first fruit is based on what you see. But if you're going to be diligent and covering from Elat to Dan, and you do due diligence, you will find out some barley ripens early because it doesn't take 100 days to ripen. It will take 60 days. They will ripen at 60 days when there's drought, there's a rain, they sprout. Next thing you know, they know they're gonna die. They'll produce fruit, grain at 60 days.
You're right,
So
sir.
the question becomes, I'm sorry?
I said you're right.
Okay,
But
so the question, and it's all about water, and it's all about heat unit. Heat unit, we talk about, when I say heat unit, or we call it growing degree days, is on the temperature of the day, and the barley will accelerate, or if it's too hot, it will accelerate faster because it says, I'm dying, I better produce fruit and the grain. If it's too cold, it'll slowly grow. And if it's the optimum temperature, between 45, 60, 70, it'll grow and mature in 100 days perfect with a lot of grain. That's where you get the 100, when Yeshua talking about 30, 60, 100 fold grain, that's what he's talking about. It's all about the temperature, the heat, and the water. And so that I'm asking those questions not to say you're wrong, in as much as the dialogue, because we need to be educated, understand it's all about what we could do with what we have. And you're doing that, what you have right now, just looking what you can best. Okay.
But I also know that I've got a vineyard that never sees anything, any green vegetation that's south of Gaza.
Yeah.
But I've known that since I planted the vineyard there back in 2012, I think it was. There's a line in the sand where stuff grows for a day after it rains, and then that's it. It doesn't grow anymore.
Yep.
So I know where that line is, and that's where Randy and I will be going tomorrow.
Okay.
Now, Elat, I've been to Elat. I've driven up and down that road a few times. You know, other than tumbleweeds, there's not much growing in between there. So, but I'm not going to drive all the way to Elat.
No, I'm not asking you that.
From Jericho. I'm going to be from Jericho going north, and I know in Jericho it's a lot of desert and grass right there. Not grass, desert and sand. So, but if you think that it's going to grow further south, you're welcome to come over here and join us.
Yeah, I wish I could. At this point, I can't. But my point here is, and I don't want to go beyond here, is that a lot of people are concerned that we are not able to keep first the Feast of Unleavened Bread if we have to dictate when we observe the Barley's Aviv, because because here's what's going to happen. You declared Aviv this month. Up north, they will be harvesting barley in the end of May, early June. So the question becomes here, okay, the earlier you declare it, that means when we declare a Shavuot, 50 days from first fruit, guess what?
Okay,
They're
so
still be,
what's the
but they still be
scripture?
harvesting barley for another 2 months.
Then that's exactly what they're supposed to do. Read the book of Ruth. She's harvesting barley for 2 months up until the wheat harvest. Glenn's about to jump in here with that scripture in
Yeah.
Deuteronomy 16, verse 9, that everyone wants to ignore.
What
Glenn,
is it?
The
what is
sickle
it?
to the grain, start the count from this, putting the sickle to the grain. And
So when
that's
do you
on
put the
wheat
sickle
sheaf.
to the grain?
I know that verse, and I'm not questioning that. That's why I brought up from first
that's
fruit to
the one-
Shavuot is 50 days.
So that's when Shavuot is in 50 days. And the other part that people ignore is that it's first fruits. It's not
We're in
second,
agreement on
not
that.
third. It's not, okay, it's, Ruth didn't start harvesting barley up in northern Israel. She started harvesting barley where the barley was ripe with Boaz in that
And in
area,
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem.
Okay, and Bethlehem is higher elevation, not in Gaza area, not in Beersheba area. It's higher
Actually,
elevation.
Bethlehem is just across the valley here from where we are, right?
It's
It's down south. We were not far from it today.
but it's higher elevation.
Yeah,
Okay, so it takes longer to ripen there.
but there's also hills in Bethlehem.
Yep.
So again, the terrain's up and down, everything's different. We can, you can argue about this area and that area. It's gonna be the very first fruits. Whoever has it will tell the priest, I've got some.
Okay.
Good,
Well,
and that's where we start.
that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarkis. But this is the thing, we don't have the whole nation looking for barley yet. But I know there's other people out looking right now, trampling into the grass, going in so far to this clump of barley and then stepping back out. The footprint is right there. Why would they do that? There's no flowers, there's nothing there, it's just a clump of barley. Huh, somebody else is looking. Paul,
A number of things that you've said, Joe, that really make a lot of sense. It's first fruit, but just asking the question. At Passover, you would go on the evening of the first night, you would make unleavened bread cakes.
no,
Now that,
No.
for the temple, wouldn't you? Or is it that
no,
the day of
let's get that straight.
yeah,
Saturday
yeah.
night.
And just hang on, I know what you're going to say,
Okay, so
but
Saturday,
it's the
I'll say it
first
for
fruit
everyone else.
day.
Saturday night is the first day
You see
of the next day. After sunset becomes the first day. After sunset's when you cut the barley. But you
that's on
don't
the way
prepare
shoot day.
but you don't prepare the barley Saturday night. You let it stand. And then you
Yeah, that-
bring it to the
I un-
temple the next day, and then you grind it into flour after you've roasted the barley to make sure all the moisture's out.
Okay, that's basically every Sabbath they do that,
No,
don't they?
after
Every-
Sabbath.
Okay, now hang on. On a normal weekly Sabbath, don't they do an unleavened cake on the Friday evening for the day?
No, never. You do it once a year.
It's once a year. So what cakes do they put in into the on the table of showbread every week? That
Those
the
aren't
priest eats?
cakes. That's showbread.
Okay, so that's different again.
Yes.
Now that's I've mixed up that. Sorry. So that's an understanding. So the first fruits has got to come in on just before wave sheaf day, so that it's prepared.
It's
as
actually
first fruit.
being cut and prepared on wave sheaf day, starting right after sunset.
And when you read also in Ruth, that Ruth was offered roasted grain as well by Boaz. If you read carefully there, that the roasted grain was the first day she went out to harvest, to eat roasted grain that Boaz offered her.
So here's the thing, most people are just ignorant of. They just don't know because they've never gone out into the field and cut barley. You can't cut barley when it's brown and ready to be ripe. You got to take it, tie it up, throw it on the ground, pick it up off the ground, stand it in a stook, take the stook, and then throw it on a wagon and take it to the barn. By the time you do that, you've lost all the barley. You've got to take the barley when it's green, when it's
Yes,
in
I
the
understand.
dough stage, in the green head, so that when you cut it and tie it up, throw it in the ground, stand it up in the stoop, then throw it on the wagon, it doesn't shatter in any of that process. And this is what most
Yep.
city slickers don't get, because they've never gone into a field and cut nothing.
Doesn't shatter, yes.
They've gone to the grocery store and bought
That's
their
right.
barley. But there's a whole process to this that most people don't understand. You know, we went out the beautiful heads of wheat today. Okay. There's no head, there's nothing inside them.
Yeah.
You got to understand the process. You know, people
Yeah.
like Glenn and Sarkis, that's their living. They understand the process.
Yeah.
So,
I understand that, Joe. I understand that. Thank you.
okay. And I'm not trying to belittle you, Paul. I don't mean
No,
that.
no, Joe, I understand.
Yeah.
There was a question about the weekly showbread and barley and that sort of stuff, that sort of thing. But maybe that's what people are also thinking, that you've got to have it before the Passover to do the unleavened bread before the Passover. But you know,
but you don't. If
no,
you
you
have,
don't.
you would have to have it on before Passover, only if Wave Sheaf Day was on the 15th day.
That's
And it
right.
was on the 15th day, I think, 2 years ago. Right?
Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, that's right.
So the very first day, that's when you got to have it by. No, it's not Passover, that's because it's Wave Sheaf Day that day. Wave Sheaf
And
Day
when-
is at the end of the 7 days.
And when they went into the land, same thing.
When they went into the land. We're going to read about that in Joshua today. Exactly.
Awesome.
Okay.
The other thing that somebody brought up too was Abraham and his sacrifice of his son. He believed what God said, and yes, his ears were open. His faith was motivated immediately, but his actions was required to demonstrate his faith. The same as what we have to do now. We have to say, if in 10 days' time that the barley is in the spot that's going to be green ears and is going to be there, we have to have faith that God's going to supply that. Because if we gate any longer, our faith in Jehovah is going to be tested even more, because the barley's gone and we're going to have to apologize.
Well,
So if we
our
don't
faith-
take it and run with faith now and say, I've got to trust God that in 6-7 days' time, there's going to be a wave offering.
That's right. You know, we are trusting in faith that he's going to show us the barley in time for Wave Sheaf Day. But in faith, I'm going to be keeping
right.
Passover. I'm going to be keeping the days of unleavened bread starting on Monday or
That's it.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
doing that.
the
all
obedience.
day. I'm doing that.
That's
all
the
day.
obedience. Yeah, but that's the obedience of faith. That's what Abraham did.
So
Okay.
on behalf of all of you, Randy and I are here to confirm the barley is Aviv.
And I appreciate
Not
that very
to
much. But no,
underestimate anybody or underscore anybody or to belittle anybody. We are just here to confirm it for ourselves. And before Becca made her declaration, Randy and I had already been talking about coming, whether we needed to come or not. You know, we just felt we needed to come now. And that's all. Other years, we've had clear indications there's no need to come.
Yeah.
And it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about all of us demonstrating to Jehovah, we are going to walk by faith. We're going to do it by faith. And then we will get a definite answer by Wave Sheaf Day.
Yeah.
Where the other.
It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. If we don't got enough people looking, you're not going to find that needle. And that's the problem we have. I know from my experience and understanding, there is Aviv barley, probably even shattered barley, from the information I got from Becca.
Yeah.
Okay,
Becca's
so that
information
tells me.
was very informative, but you got to use your charts and you got to use your brain. Okay, you just can't follow the sheep.
and you've got to use a bit of math.
Yeah,
Not it-
you gotta count, you gotta count. Nancy, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, I'm convinced for several reasons. It doesn't matter why I'm convinced that I need to do the week of unleavened bread this week. And what I want to say though is what my concern is a little bit different than y'all's. I did want to know what you did find. I didn't get to hear that. I didn't get to get on until later. I've got pink eye and I'm still recovering. But anyway, from some other sicknesses. But anyway, what I was going to say is that I know no one declared seeing the full moon on February 10th. And I believe it was on February 11th that they spotted the new moon. I was still on the ship, so I missed any of that. But it's clear that on February 24th, which is today, this evening, that is the full moon. And the full moon we know falls on the 14th day of the Hebrew month. What my biggest worry is that if this is the 14th, then would it not be the actual Passover, with tomorrow actually being the first day of
No.
unleavened bread?
There's no scripture in the Bible that says you gotta have a full moon for Passover.
No, but we know that the new moon comes with a slither that turns to full by the time of the day that we celebrate these feast days.
What most people don't know is that you have a full moon for 3 days.
Okay.
So what does
Last
that
night
tell you?
did look like a full moon. So you're saying there literally is 3 days of full moon?
Sometimes you can see 3 full moons.
Okay.
98% looks full, 100% is full, 95% looks full. You know, again, it's a full moon at this time of year. It's not necessarily have to be a full moon. I've seen, the Churches of God said you had to have a full moon on the 15th. Awesome, I believe that. Guess what? I questioned them on the 15th. It's Passover today, or it's the 15th of Sukkot. And the full moon, it's not here yet. Look, it's not full. Oh yeah, well, okay, so it's a takanot. It's a ma'asim. It's an invention of men that we believed that is not true. Go by the crescent moon. If you go by the crescent moon, then the conjunction moon is 1, 2, or 3 days before that.
Mm-hmm.
And a full moon would be 15 days after the conjunction moon,
Right.
which doesn't line up necessarily with the crescent moon.
Right.
So it's just, it's what are we putting in our brains? False information, then we start to believe it.
Okay, one other question before I'm going to be quick. The the understanding that the first fruits goes up first. When we're reading in Exodus and in Deuteronomy, and I don't have the actual chapters and verses, I'm sorry, but both indicate, that the wave sheaf has to happen. But the understanding of how people go up with their own personal first fruits, that gets really confusing in all the studies. And I want you to declare to me what you found as how that happens. So we know those that have first fruits to offer, they would be at the go wave sheaf, but everybody
So
would go
Devorah-
up during the same time. Is that correct?
So Devorah has believed that everyone in Israel must have first fruits to offer on Wave Sheaf Day,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
That's what they believe. Everyone must have first fruits. Every farmer must bring first fruits to the altar. Well, guess what? The barley is going to be ripe here in Gaza, possibly first. I haven't checked the Jordan Valley yet, but I will check it. Other years, the Jordan Valley was first. Everyone already admits the Jordan Valley is generally earlier than everywhere else. Okay. It's a little dicey over there. They got an army in Syria shooting planes and rockets over, and the Lebanon shooting rockets down as far as the Galilee. So it's a little risky. But I'm going to find out, and I'm going to look. Now, Haifa is generally late, sometimes a month late. And I remember one year, Joel and another gentleman I know who went out looking for the barley wasn't even out of the head. And that was for the Karaite calendar, which was a month after us. it wasn't even out of the head, and they were declaring a 14th month. So where do you look? In Israel. Where do you look? Where the barley is going to be ripe first? Where is that? Generally Gaza or the Jordan Valley. So if you want to look in Haifa, if we got to wait for Haifa, all the barley in the Jordan Valley is going to be gone. All the barley in Gaza is going to be gone. Why? Because we're waiting on Haifa to catch up. Other years, God could turn it around and make it the other way around. It's up to him. We are to offer first fruits. It's a representative. There's only one omer. There isn't a wagon train full of camels bringing barley to the temple, all to be slaughtered on that day. There's one omer, one fruit basket full that represents the entire nation. What
do
does that
all the-
represent? Hang on. What does
Okay.
that represent? It represents the first fruits of mankind. It's not all of mankind, but it's the very first fruits of mankind. They came, we've had all these people, good people live since, but they haven't been raised up yet. They're coming later. These first fruits, the barley represents the first fruits of mankind. If we waited until everybody was ready, they would never have been raised up yet, because we're not there at the end yet.
Okay, but
That's
my question is that we know about the wave sheaf, and let's say it's my farm, let's say in Gaza. I got the first fruits. Okay, I'm the winner in Israel that's got the first fruits. I go up to do the wave sheaf. Does
No.
everybody go up during that wave sheaf at the same time?
Yes, everyone would go up to Passover at that time.
Whether they have barley or not, correct?
No, they don't have to have barley. They are being represented by the first fruits of whoever had the barley.
There you go. Thank you.
So you would be the winner that year. Your farm would be the one. The priest would come and cut it and then bring it to the temple.
Okay, that's right. The priest has to cut it. And then
Well, yeah, but
yeah, that's right. Okay.
because you're not holy. The priest is holy, and this is a holy offering.
Okay, thank you. Very good clarity there. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
First, Joseph and Randy, and I just want to praise Jehovah for you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Joe, for being such an incredible leader and for your passion to get things right, to go to the expense, you two, to go to Israel, inconvenience yourself. That flight's terrible. I've done it. And you do it so often. To go search so you can lead me and others to, and the example to strive to know him so he can know us. So I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. Anyway, thank you so much. I love you so much. And I appreciate you so much. Now, second, doing Passover early. And I read that.
I'm not doing it early.
Okay. Doing Passover now before we
On time.
actually found first fruit is, it put me in question. And then I have my Bible study girls that are going, but what about, and I have to teach them again and again and again about the barley and about this and show them the picture of all the barley and the days and just like you're doing. And so, but at the same time, I've had questions and I love Becca and I love Deborah. Deborah has a whole different idea about what first is in first fruits.
It's not a love-hate thing. This should never have been a love-hate.
Yeah.
Just
And
because
so I listen to many teachers is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so then I have to decide for me. And here's another thing for me. I don't know if anybody else is in retail, but I have to close my retail stores. And I've already confessed to y'all how much I love money. And so then I have my staff who they're not Torah pursuant. And then I have customers because I put a sign on the door telling why I'm closed with the scriptures. And then they come in the next day and ask my staff, what is she, Jewish? That's not in the Bible. Well, wait, I went to church with Kay for years in the Baptist church. What's she doing? Is she in a cult? You know, so I struggle with money and staff and all these kind of things too. And so in my struggle, as I prayed, I asked Yehshua to tell me what to do. So as a great grandmother, anybody struggling, ask Jehovah what you should do. He hears your prayers and will show you. And then the second thing he showed me was, I can't even remember all of them. It's so amazing how he hugs you and kisses you when you're trying to make a difficult decision. But one thing he reminded me of was the cross. It was very costly for his son. More than what it's going to cost me to close if y'all don't find barley and I have to do it again next month. More than being questioned or criticized by my Baptist friends. More than anything, he had to suffer. So if we are inconvenienced and Joe and Randy don't find barley and don't declare this as a first month, after we've washed feet and Passovered and unleavened bread and cleaned our house, heaven forbid if I have to clean my house twice or my housekeeper has to clean it twice. And so I'm the moron city person that Joe's talking about. All I think about is myself and how inconvenienced I am and how much it's going to cost me. So looking at the cross, is there anything you won't do? Will you inconvenience yourself? There is a great chance they're going to find barley. And through discussing this with Glenn, he is so convinced that they're going to find barley, but whether they do or not, I'm going to close my store Monday, and I'm happy about it. That's the least I can do for all he did for me. I'm going to keep Passover. I got to scramble to do it. And I'm going to be nice to all my little sheep that I'm shepherding. And I'm going to be so patient and understanding and quit telling them things like, you're going to realize how dumb a question that was when you wake up. Read this, those types of things. So I hope that little testimony might get excited, for crying out loud, and quit thinking about yourself, Kay. It's the least you could do. So what if you have to clean your house twice and do Passover twice and foot washing twice and unleavened bread twice? So what? Those are good deeds. You're bearing good fruit for the master. And thank you again. Hugs and kisses to you, Joe and Randy. Hugs and kisses.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying not to interrupt when you're on a roll, and very good, well said. Just so you know, this has jeopardized my marriage once again by coming here. But I had to come. I had to come for me. I had to come because I'm the leader of sightofmoon.com and to find out for sure. So I had to do it. The question I want to ask after what you just said, though, okay, and this is not just for you, but for everyone who's got a business, because I had a business, I had a construction business. What blessings are you missing out on because you didn't obey? What blessings did you miss? Now, okay, I don't know how many stores you got. Let's say you got 5 stores. What if you could have had, Jehovah was going to give you 15 if you'd obeyed, but you didn't. Joe, I was going to give you that contract that was worth $6 billion, but I didn't, because you really, you compromised. So now you just got that little piddly ass contract and you're just getting by. Hey, you didn't get that job promotion because you compromised on the Sabbath. You didn't get that spouse that you're dreaming about all your teenage years because you never kept the Sabbath at all. You didn't get the blessings that you thought you wanted to get because you cheated on obeying Jehovah. How many of us can say, I did that? How many blessings did you miss out on? I don't know. I'm dreading the day when I get to sit down with Jehovah and he says, you know, when you did that, what I was about to do for you? I'm going to cry my head off. And, you know, you wonder why I'm a bit hard here. I confessed something to Randy today, a sin that I did years ago, which I believe has led to a lot of the problems I'm now dealing with. What if? What if? What if you obeyed today? Wow. I can't imagine it. Can't imagine it. But the missing out, the, what's that, FOMO, how do you say it? Fear of missing out? FOMO disease? I got it bad for Jehovah. Fear of missing out. Okay, Glenn, and then Kim, and then we're going to get started on some other stuff here. Just
So what does he say? He says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added to you. Well, I did that with the Sabbath shutting down, and a business that usually makes half its money on the Sabbath. Okay? My wife thought I was nuts. Nuts. I still think she does. But I know that I was on a nowhere path to listening to myself and then getting nowhere. So when I changed, that changed. And now I listen to him, I do what he says, and everything falls into place, just like Joe said. Now, granted, I'm not a rich millionaire, but that's not my purpose. Okay, and now what's going to happen is when we do find this barley that's there, and I'll tell you in a minute why I know it is, everyone's going to be looking, and we're going to be the light to continue this issue about what is the right way. Okay? Everybody's using the Takanot and, oh, we got to do this, and they're overthinking everything. We got to stop overthinking. It's simple. It's simple. You need it for the wave sheaf day. That's it. Now, what you can do if you're a farmer or if you're not, even like I'm doing, I'm not over there, but I'm looking at the evidence that's put in front of me. And I don't mean the opinions of their observations. I'm talking about their observations and the pictures, not what their conclusions are, because that's not what I'm looking for, because I'm going to make the conclusion. Okay, as a priest, we're supposed to be priests of Jehovah, or a kingdom of priests. We're going to be having to make these choices and decisions. But the first thing I remember, Becca sent out on January 11th, she showed a section of a field, or a field that was in the heading stage, and some were flowering and starting to pistillate. Okay, and some were starting to lean a little bit, and they were white. That's what I remember. They were white, from the green starting to turn white in the head a little bit, or light colored. Well, that was January 11th. To March 3rd, what do you got? You can do the math. I'm not going to do it for you. You have, the barley will be ready between, at the best, 60 days to 100 days. You're not going to go over 100 days. It has a lifespan that has to make that period of time. It's like trying to take a human being and saying you're going to live 200 years. No, you're only going to live what your lifespan is, which according to the Bible is 70 to 80. What does it say? Well, anyway, I'm not going to get into the man's age, but that's the point. You have your life cycle, you fulfill your life cycle. Now, if it doesn't, weather doesn't cooperate, it's still going to make seed. It may be wimpy. It may be a few kernels, but it's going to make its seed if it has the enough elements, weather, warmth, all those things to do it within 100 days. It's going to do it. So we're going to find some Aviv or even shattered barley, or certainly Carmel if we can find it. It's just like looking, like I said, like a needle in a haystack. If we had enough scouts, it would be easy. Or if we had a bunch of farmers in Israel, or we had a connection to them by telephone. Hey, how's your field today? They would be reporting if we had a system for that. That would be awesome. Then we could use their witness. All you need is a picture, one picture that's real and that is verifiable. You've got the witness who took the picture, who can attest to seeing it. That's one witness. The second witness is the picture itself. There's two. It's all you need. So I feel so confident we're going to find it if Yah wants to unite us or not unite us. It's his will. I don't know what he's going to do, but I know for sure there is an Aviv barley out there. And Joe and Randy, I just want to thank you, like Kay said, for doing this. I'm so glad you did. You know, I did ask you. I said, hey, are you going? I was anxious because we needed a witness. And thank God you're going. I appreciate you there. And God's be with you, and stay safe. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Lee or Bree just asked in the chat, oh, it just moved. So the day after Wave Sheaf Day, can we start the plant? That would be a yes. Again, we're still struggling with, is this the first month or the 13th month? Again, we haven't got a clear 100% definition on that yet. We will know by the end of this week, by Wave Sheaf Day, we will know. We are assuming and operating as if Wave Sheaf Day is this coming next Sunday. So again, Jehovah's going to show us or he's not going to show us. That's the situation we're in. If it's not, then next month will be the first month. And that will be when the Shemitah year is over. And again, I don't get to call that, Jehovah does. It's his timing, and I'm just trying to follow it. Before I go to Kim, I want to say something else here. You know, a lot of people talk about it being too cold. Well, I have my t-shirt on here today. Last time Randy and I were here together, I had my winter coat on. It was freezing cold. I mean, I was cold. It was a damp cold. When Moses crossed the Red Sea, the water was heaped up. And I was thinking I would get Randy to heap up a glass of water for you and just heap it up and keep heaping it up so you can see how water is heaped up. But you can't heap up water. Anyone who lives north can see water heaped up in the shape of snow. It's piled high. A glacier is heaped up water. And when Moses crossed through the Red Sea, there were glaciers on either side, and that's why the bottom was frozen hard. They could walk on it. But by the time the Egyptians got there, you know, this is our teaching. I think I put it out this week, or maybe next week I'll put it out. By the time the Egyptians crossed, that frost had softened up, and those thin wheels on the chariots started to go through, and the hooves of the, if you've ever walked across frozen ground in the springtime, it's difficult to walk. And it became difficult for Moses. Now, what happened when Joshua crossed again at Passover time? The Jordan River piled up. How do you pile up water? Ice jam up by Adam. And the whole Jordan River dried up. How did it get dry in what, a couple hours? It was cold. The frost set in. They could walk across on the frozen ground. Okay, so that's how you pile up water. Why am I saying that? Because it's cold. It's snowy. It's rainy. It's cold, but the barley still grows. Right? Again, there's some things that we just don't get because we got this blockage in our head. But when you're here, and I'm not here all the time, I'm not pretending to be here all the time. This is my 22nd time here. I've been here at Passover, I've been here at Shavuot, I've been here at Sukkot. And I've been here before and after all those times. I get to see, it's a beautiful green land. It's not full of monsters and giants like the 10 spies said. Caleb and Joshua were right. It's beautiful, it's green, it's flowing with milk and honey. The fields are full. But when when the crop's off in the summertime, it's like our winter, it looks like a desert everywhere. How do they feed the sheep in the desert? They didn't have grass. Come out here and look. It's green. There's grass everywhere. Okay, Kim, go ahead. I think you're the last one.
Okay, been waiting a while. I just got a low battery. Let me plug in real quick. You're all familiar with the story of the 5 loaves and how Jesus fed the 5,000. Well, this morning I was reading that and I noticed for the first time that that was just prior to Passover. And it really surprised me because I always thought you weren't supposed to eat the barley until after Wave Sheaf Day. So if anyone
Well,
might have some
You're not supposed to
comment.
eat, you're not supposed to use the barley until after Wave Sheaf Day. You're not supposed to eat anything until after you put the sickle to the grain.
Okay,
Uh,
this is John 6,
Well-
3, and it says the Jewish Passover festival was near. And then they went up on the mountain and he feeds everyone with barley loaves.
Let me
So
see.
something to think about. I'd like to hear Eric spin on that one day. We'll add that
Can
to
I,
the
can I
mix.
say something here? It's the old barley, not the new.
Yeah. Yes.
See, you're not supposed to eat the new barley. You can eat the old barley.
What's the difference
Old barley is
It's
from the
last
previous
year's
year.
barley.
Yeah,
from the previous year?
right.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so I've got old barley. I got my matzah loaves that were made last year. I bought them before the Shemitah began because I knew it'd be coming up to that time. So I got old matzah from last year and I brought it with me and Randy and I are gonna be eating it this week. We're to eat, you are commanded to eat unleavened bread for all 7 days. So if you don't have any matzah bread, then Sombra can tell you how to make some. But you're to eat unleavened bread for 7 days.
The principle behind the first fruits is to redeem the rest of the harvest. So in other words, now that we as human beings has seen Yeshua dead, buried, and resurrected, now Yahovah could have resurrected Yeshua in him and him alone. Now, what would that do for our hope? But what Yahovah did was he resurrected him along with the first fruits, along with humans that have flaws. So what he's saying is, if these first fruits are good, then when the harvest comes, the rest of the harvest is going to be good. And the whole purpose behind eating the old grain is because the old grain has already been redeemed by the previous first fruits year, the previous year. So God is saying through Yeshua, all of mankind will be redeemed by his first fruits. So that's what's going on here.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay, so, Stuart, I don't know what time it is, because I've lost it says 10:19 here, but I don't know how late we started.
So it's just after 3 Eastern Standard Time.
Just after 3, so, okay, so we're about 3 hours in. Okay, thank you, that's
And
what
is it dark for you there?
oh, it's 2 hours to midnight.
You guys should do the foot washing service.
Yeah, well, we've been trying to get to that. But we also needed to go through what we did tonight because it's helped a lot of people get settled and just understand what they need to understand and why we do what we're doing. So we've had to go through that, and we go through this every year, and I understand that. And if you don't understand it, I don't hate you for it. I'm still talking to Glenn, so like there's hope for everyone else, right? Okay. So I put in the newsletter this week, the foot washing ceremony. And so tonight we're going to start doing that. And tonight is the Last Supper of Yeshua, right? It's a very somber night. The apostle didn't know that it was somber. It was just another night for them. But you and I know what's about to happen. We've got the 2020 vision looking back. So when I was in the Worldwide Church of God, they used to make this into a very, very somber, very special night. The stage was red carpeted. The table was white lace. We had 3 silver trays in the spread out, all equal heights. You know, 2 or 3 trays. So, you know, we had about 200 people that we were taking care of. But it looked like a funeral service. And it struck me as that. And the quietness of that. And I've never forgotten, and it had, and I believe, a good effect on it. And the thing that we can't do here is to give that impression of how somber it is. So, not yet. I want you to understand and to act like this is the last time you're ever going to hear these words from Yeshua. Because you got 20/20 vision now. The apostles didn't, but you do. So we're going to go through that. And I got it right here, right there. Okay. Go back here. I'm going to share it so we can all read it together. So this is in the newsletter. You can look it up if you want. So this is republished from 2011, so the dates might be a little bit different in it. That's okay. I got to close you up. So tonight represents that night. So back then it was March 23rd. It's a foot washing ceremony. And drinking the wine and breaking the bread in remembrance of the Last Supper Yeshua had with his apostles. We've also put in there this week and last week about the fast of the firstborn. So I'm now, after I do the bread and wine here, I will begin my fast. I'm the firstborn. I'm not going to eat any or drink anything from now on. I actually was going to start that earlier tonight, but I'll do the ceremony with you again. This is not the Passover meal. Alsambra and Randy, I can't see anybody on my screen, so I can't see any of the chat or anything there either. What am I saying? This will also be a dark full moon. Okay, so that was back then. So we just had a blood moon here tonight. So after supper, Yeshua and his apostles went over to the Mount of Olives. So before this, they set up for the Passover. And that day, you read it in Mark, and it says in Mark, there are yet 2 days until the Passover. There are yet 2 days. This was Tuesday afternoon. There are yet 2 days for the Passover, and they went and prepared the room for the meal. Now the meal is over. It's not the Passover meal, but it's the Last Supper that he had. And they walk over to the Mount of Olives. Now, from Jerusalem, the city of David, over to the Mount of Olives, unless you go across the bridge that was there, it's about a 20-minute walk, maybe a half-hour walk from the city of David over the Kidron and back up to the Mount of Olives, which is Golgotha, which is where I take our tour groups to stay. And he began to pray that this cup that he was about to bear might pass him. And like Kay said, this is an important event. Just stop here right now and go to Leviticus 16. And Leviticus 16, and I'll just see if I can find it on my other thing, because I want you to know what's going on. And Aaron shall bring the goat. Okay, Aaron, Leviticus 16, verse 8. Leviticus 16, verse 8. And Aaron shall cast lots on the 2 he-goats, one lot for Jehovah, and the other lot for a complete removal. That complete removal is the Azazel goat, which represents Satan. It's not Yeshua, it's Satan. The goat that represents Jehovah is Jehovah. Verse 9. And Aaron shall bring the goat on which Jehovah's lot fell and offer it for a sin offering. Who is the goat? Who does the goat represent? And which goat is offered for a sin offering? The goat that represents Jehovah is your sin offering. Jehovah died for you. In the beginning, John 1, verse 1, in the beginning was the Word, the Torah, and the Word was with God, and the Word was Yehovah. Isaiah 42, or Isaiah 12, 2, I think it is. I am Yehovah, and beside me there is no Messiah. I am your Yeshua, I am your salvation, and I became your salvation. I became your Yeshua. The man that we've grown up calling Jesus is Jehovah. And he was praying, and again, there's some things I can't explain, I don't understand, but he was praying that this cup would pass from him, that he would not die. Nobody wants to die. But he did. Not on behalf of you or me, but on behalf of everyone. Not just the Jews, not just the 10 tribes of Israel, but everyone, including those in Palestine or Gaza that are being killed. Everyone, because he made all mankind. He was arrested that night. Jehovah was arrested, brought before the Sanhedrin, found guilty of blasphemy for claiming that he was Jehovah. Then they brought him to Pilate. So from Golgotha, they brought him over to Pilate's house. I mean, not Pilate's house, the high priest's house at the temple, where he's judged. This is after the midnight. He's judged. Now he's brought over to the Dome of the Rock. So you got to walk all the way across to the Dome of the Rock, about a 15, 20-minute walk. He's judged by Pilate. And he's whipped. And then they send him up to Herod, which is up by Jaffa Gate. Herod makes fun of him, sends it back to Pilate, back at the Dome of the Rock. And from the Dome of the Rock, he's brought back over to where he was arrested, which is a busy road coming to Jerusalem. And he's crucified. Now, I probably skipped over a whole bunch of stuff here. Okay, so he was nailed to the wood. Okay, so on Golgotha, he's nailed to a cross piece, a piece that went across from hand to hand. And that's put up into the tree and nailed to the tree, and then his feet are nailed to the sides of the tree. And he's left there hanging. Now, I've got videos of the trees, and these are almond trees that he goes through. So that's the whole process. But before that process all goes on, we got to get back to the supper. Now, that's the whole evening that, we're about to read. Well, I'm not going to read everything, but I'm going to get to the ceremony part here. But that's what this night represents. The apostles don't get it. They don't quite understand it. Okay, so the foot washing memorial takes place today, tonight, right now. After sunset is a very somber evening, and not one for talking and having a social meeting and making jokes and having a good time. It's a memorial of the death of our creator of the universe. This is the evening Yeshua was betrayed and the next day murdered. I treat it as if I'm at a funeral and remember the things I have done that caused him, that I did. I remember what I did that caused Yeshua, Jehovah, to have to die to pay for my sins. And it makes me sick that I was so stupid that I thought I could just do that and just, nobody cared. My God cared. He cared enough that he died for me. He cared enough that he died for you and all the stupid things that you've done. Whether you've aborted the baby, filled your body full of chemicals and drugs, committed murder. We've had brethren who have been murderers in jail for murder. Whether you've stolen from your employees or stolen from other people. You know, I did projects in high school to prove that God wasn't real. He died for us. No matter what your sin is, there's no sin so big that he can't forgive. And then, you know, the parable of the prodigal son, and not the prodigal son, the parable of the guy that wouldn't forgive the other sinners, is that you who can't forgive those people who have slighted you. He forgave us for killing him. You can't forgive your mother and dad because they spanked you or did something wrong to you, or your uncle. Whatever it is, you've got to learn to forgive. This is the day when Yeshua would have been hung on the tree at 9 a.m., that's tomorrow morning, and died at 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. At the same time, the lambs were slaughtered. He was placed in the tomb before sunset tomorrow afternoon, which began the high holy day of the first day of unleavened bread. Sunset tomorrow afternoon is also the time when we eat the Passover lamb. So the Passover lambs are killed at 3. That's when Yeshua died as a Passover lamb, and then they're roasted and eaten after sunset. The blood having been smeared on the doors after it was killed at 3 p.m. Midnight is the time when the firstborn of Egypt would have been killed. That's why we got the name Passover from. So you're combining two major events here. That's why I watched the Passion of Christ and the Ten Commandment video at this time. Moses and all of Israel then left Egypt in the dark early in the morning. That would be Monday morning, our time, very early in the morning. On the first day of unleavened bread, no leaven is to be found in your home from sunset tomorrow night until the 7th day of unleavened bread, which will be next Sunday. At the end of Sunday, or sunset, the end after Sunday, is when the regular time comes back. This year we have Shabbat. Okay, so that's talking about then. So I've told you all this for the new people who are starting to keep Passover and the rest of the holy days for the very first time. It is truly an awesome time to see so many going back to the Torah and the ways of our ancestors who came out with Moses and crossed the Red Sea. Many are asking, how do we do this in 2024? How do we do this? Most of those who call themselves Christians do not keep Passover, even though Yeshua did. Let me tell you what I do. So now we're going to start the ceremony. And it is not the end all and be all way. If you got a different tradition, that's great. This is what I would want to do if I was leading a congregation. And I get this mostly from the Worldwide Church of God. I admit that, but I thought they did it very well. There's no exact way to do this. So to begin with, we start reading 1 Corinthians 11, verse 23. For I received from the Lord what I also delivered to you, that the Lord Jesus, in the night in which he was betrayed, took bread and gave thanks. He broke it and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." Randy, can you grab that plate for me? Take this, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. So the bread that he took, can you guys see me, Sombra? Can you see me or just see the screen?
We can see
We
you.
can
just-
see you.
Okay, so he took the bread and it's like a challah bread and he broke off a piece. It's leavened bread. Okay, we're not doing unleavened bread yet. It's leavened bread. There are certain key words in here that you'll say. Take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. So take a piece of bread and we eat it right now. So then verse 25. In the same way, he took the cup. Also, after sipping it or drinking it, this is the new covenant in my blood. as often as you drink it, do this in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you show the Lord's death until he shall come. So that, I'm still talking, trying to chew this bread. So that whoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily, he will be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he who eats and drinks unworthily eats and drinks condemnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. For this cause, many among you are weak and sickly, and many are asleep. For if we would judge ourselves, we would not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened by the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world. So that, my brothers, when you come together to eat, wait for one another. But if anyone hungers, let him eat at home, so that you do not come together to condemnation. And the rest I will set in order when I come. So we're not to be drinking this wine and eating this bread to fill our gut. We're to be doing this in remembrance of Jehovah and the death that he paid that night. Pay attention to what you just read. This is very serious. It's a serious time of the year. If you treat it shamefully, then you can die from the sickness that will come upon you. And I've been doing this since 1981. I've seen people having fun and partying up at this time. I've heard other people turn this into a big party, drinking fest, getting drunk. And I've seen people die. Suddenly they drop dead, or they had an accident. The whole family gets wiped out. I've seen it happen. This is why we do the de-leavening of our homes and of ourselves. We are examining ourselves and finding out that we are guilty of sin and need this Passover sacrifice. We do not take part in it half-heartedly. It is a sober time. It is a somber time. This is not a night to be talking about this or that, business or work. It is a memorial of the night Yeshua was betrayed and then killed. And the more you think about it, the more somber that night is. Without this first step pictured by the Passover, there would be no hope for humanity. But because Yeshua gave his life as our Passover sacrifice, we have a potential beyond human imagination. All the holy days, as told you in Leviticus 23, explain this tremendous, this awesome, great potential that we have. So I watched the 10 Commandments in the Passion. So if you're in a group, then explain to them briefly the seriousness of this event. So I'm writing this for others who are teaching it. So now, Matthew 26. And as they were eating, Jesus took the bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to his disciples and said, "Take, eat. This is my body." And he took the cup, gave thanks, and gave it to them, saying, "Drink all of it, for this is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many for the remissions of sin. But I say to you, I will not drink of this fruit of the vine from now on, until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." And singing a hymn, they went out of the Mount of Olives. So we've now eaten the bread and we've drank the wine. And if you're a firstborn and Yeshua was a firstborn, what he's doing and what he's telling you is, I'm now going to keep the fast of the firstborn. I'm not going to eat this until I meet you again. So that's briefly the outline of this evening. And it's basically just that simple. So we begin with the foot washing. Notice that this is before the Passover, and yet it is after the supper that they just had. The argument is that tonight is the Passover meal. Let's read the scripture here. It's before the Passover, and yet it's after the meal. John 13, verse 1. And before the feast of the Passover, which in this very afternoon, Yeshua said, which was Tuesday afternoon, is the Passover not 2 days hence, which was Thursday or Wednesday night. When Yeshua knew his hour had come, when he should depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own in the world, he loved them to the end. And when supper had ended, the devil, now having put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and went to God, he rose up from the supper and laid aside his garment, and he took a towel and girded himself. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, and to wipe them with a towel with which he was girded. Then he came to Simon Peter, and Peter said to him, Lord, do you wash my feet? Jesus answered and said to him, you do not know what I do now, but you shall know hereafter. Peter said to him, you shall never wash my feet. Jesus said to him, unless I wash you, you have no part with me. Simon Peter said to him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Jesus said to him, he who is bathed has no need except to wash his feet, but is clean every whit. And you are clean, but not all. For he knew who would betray him. Therefore he said, you are not all clean. So after he had washed their feet and had taken his garments and had reclined again, he said to them, do you know what I have done to you? You call me the teacher and the Lord, and you say, well, for I am. If then I am the Lord and teacher, I, the Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master. Neither is he who is sent greater than he who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. So I've had the distinct pleasure of doing this with a couple of men on the Mount of Olives one year, and I've done it with large congregations other years. And another friend, Randy and I are not on the Mount of Olives right now, but doing there is very special. So after reading this part of John, we're going to stop for a moment. If you're by yourself, then wash your own feet. You're doing it as a memorial. This is an internet greeting or meeting that we're having. So Randy and I are going to wash each other's feet right now, and I will come back here in about 10 minutes, and I'm going to carry on. So go and wash each other's feet. If you got family that you can do it with, awesome. If you got nobody to do it with, go into the bathroom, wash your feet in the bathtub. You can do it there, and then come back here and we'll carry on. So we're just going to pause this for about 10 minutes. Okay, we can pause. You want to pause the recording? Sabra, you want to pause the recording for now? Okay. Okay, be right back. Okay, so we're back. Randy and I washed our feet. And those of you that are, it's now after sunset can do the same. It's a memorial. So now what comes next? This is the part, this is the part that always gets me. So I hope I can get through it. And we may take a few readers here. If we don't get time to do the Torah portion, we may put the Torah portion on with next week. We'll just see. I'm okay with doing that. Okay, so we've done the foot washing. So now we're going to start reading what happened after this. We're going to read up until I believe he's arrested, and then that's going to take place tomorrow, but we're going to read up. So tonight, the events took place tonight. The last words that Yeshua spoke to you and I. So, yeah, as you tear the bread in front of your group, know and understand this represents Yeshua, his body being ripped apart for you because of your sins. Matthew 26:26, and as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. Hebrews 10:10, by this will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once and for all. And indeed, every priest stands daily ministering and offering often the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins. But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down at the right hand of God. Again, what is sin? 1 John 3:4. Everyone doing sin also does lawlessness, and sin is lawlessness. And exactly the same thing the 5 foolish virgins are going to be told. I never knew you, you workers of lawlessness. And that's a way to identify whether he knows you. 1 Peter 2:24, who himself bore our sins in his body on the tree, so that we, having died to sins, might live unto righteousness. By those stripes you were healed. John 6:48, I am the bread of life. Okay, there's a clue to the grains, to the barley, to the wheat. I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness and they died. This is the bread which comes down out of the heavens, so that anyone might eat of it and not die. I am the living bread which came down out of the heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he shall live forever. And indeed, the bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world. The cup, 1 Corinthians 10, verse 16, the cup of blessing which we bless is not a sharing of the blood of Messiah. The bread that we break is not a sharing of the body of Messiah. Now let me ask you, when is the lamb ever beaten? As Yeshua was. When is the lamb ever beaten? It never was. So what is beaten? It is the barley which is beaten to give up the grain, which is then roasted as a grain offering on the wave sheaf day, which is the day after the weekly Sabbath during the days of unleavened bread. Or in other words, the first day of the week. That will be again at the end of next week. The same grain offering is made into, or the same grain is made into bread, which is what Yeshua represents, the bread of life. Yeshua said the bread represents his body, which he voluntarily gave to be beaten and to die as part of his complete sacrifice for us. He suffered that he might take our infirmities and bear our sicknesses. Matthew 8, verse 16. And when evening had come, they brought to him many who were demon-possessed, and he cast out the spirits with a word and healed all who were sick, that it might be filled what was spoken by Isaiah, the prophet, saying, he himself took our weaknesses and bore our sicknesses. He is our healer. Bread is also associated with life, and Yeshua is the bread that makes eternal life possible as we allow him to live in us. Galatians 2, verse 20. I have been impaled with Messiah, and I no longer live, but Messiah lives in me. And that which I now live in the flesh, I live by belief in the Son of Elohim, who loved me and gave himself for me. And the fact that his followers all partook of this symbol of him highlights the unity he wants us to have. The unity that he wants us to have. Isaiah 53, verse 2. For he comes up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He has no form nor majesty that we should see him, nor an appearance that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and as it were, a hiding of faces from him. He being despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was on him, and with his stripes we ourselves are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray, and have turned each one to its own ways. And Jehovah has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He was brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before his shearers is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgressions of my people he was stricken. And he put his grave with the wicked, and with a rich one in his death, although he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased Jehovah to crush him, to grieve him, that he should put forth his soul as a guilt offering. He shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the will of Jehovah shall prosper in his hand. He shall see the fruit of the trial. He shall see the fruit of the travail of his soul. He shall be fully sanctified or satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify for many, and he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore I will divide to him with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he has poured out his soul to death. And he was counted among the transgressors, and he bore the sin of many and made intercession for transgressors. So once you've broken the bread and share it with everyone, let them drink, let them think about this body of Yeshua. So we now move to the wine part. So we've already done this. I'm just going through, for those that are new, if you want to develop some sort of service, that's what we're doing here. Luke 22:14. And when the hour had come, he sat down with the 12 emissaries with him, and he said to them, with desire, I have desired to eat the Passover with you before my suffering. For I say to you, I shall certainly not eat of it again until it's fulfilled in the reign of Elohim. And taking the cup, giving thanks, he said, take this and divide it among yourselves. For I say to you, I shall certainly not drink of the fruit of the vine until the reign of Elohim comes. Likewise, the cup also, after supper, saying, this cup is a renewed covenant in my blood, which is shed for you. Now, when you say that, when you read that, go back and think of the blood of the animals that Abram laid out that were shed for the covenant. It's a similar thing. This is about the 4 glasses at Passover. It's not relevant to tonight. Let me scroll down here. Notice what Yeshua said after the meal. Likewise, the cup also after supper, saying, this cup is renewed covenant of my blood, which is shed for you. Is this not the 5th cup that Judah had a problem figuring out? So it's referring to the cup that the rabbis are talking about. Again, I'm going to skip this part. It's not relevant to what we're doing here tonight. Okay, so now we're going to finish. We're going to read a lot of John here now. And after you do the bread and the wine and the foot washing, you close out these final words that Yeshua spoke in John. John verse 13:18. I do not speak of you all. I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture might be fulfilled. He who eats bread with me has lifted up his heel against me. From now I tell you before it comes, so that when it happens, you may believe that I am. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who receives whomever I send receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. When Jesus had said this, he was troubled in spirit, and testified and said, truly, truly, I say to you that one of you shall betray me. Then the disciples looked upon one another, wondering of whom he spoke. And there was one of the disciples leaning on his chest, on Jesus' bosom, and one whom Jesus loved. Simon Peter therefore signaled to him to ask him, might it be of whom he spoke? And lying on Jesus' breast, he said to him, Lord, who is it? Jesus answered, it is he to whom I shall give the morsel when I have dipped it. And dipping the morsel, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. And after the morsel, then Satan entered into him. Then Jesus said to him, what you do, do quickly. But no one reclining knew for what reason he spoke this to him. For some thought because Judas had the money bag that Jesus had said to him, buy what we need for the feast. What feast? The feast of Passover. Judas was going out to buy on the feast of Passover, food for the Passover. Think about what you're reading here. Buy what we have need of for the feast, and that he should give something to the poor. He then, having received the morsel, went out immediately, and it was night. Okay, so John 13, verse 31. Then, when he had left, Jesus said, now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God shall also glorify him in himself, and shall immediately glorify him. Little children, I am with you yet a little while. You shall seek me, and as I said to the Jews, where I go, you cannot come. So I now say to you, I give you a new commandment. And I want you to listen to this. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. As I have loved you, you should also love one another. By this, all shall know that you are my disciples, if you have love toward one another. Simon Peter said to him, Lord, where do you go? Jesus answered him, where I go, you cannot follow me, but you shall follow me afterwards. Peter said to him, Lord, why can I not follow you now? I will lay down my life for your sake. Jesus answered him, will you lay down your life for my sake? Truly, truly, I say to you, that the cock shall not crow until you have denied me 3 times. John 16, verse 1. I have spoken these things to you so that you should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogue. But an hour is coming that everyone who kills you will think that he bears God's service. And they will do these things to you because they have not known the Father nor me. But I have told you these things so that when the hour shall come, you may remember that I told you of them. And I did not say these things to you at the beginning because I was with you. But now I go to him who sent me, and none of you ask, where do you go? But because I have said these things to you, sorrow has filled your heart. But I tell you the truth. It is expedient for you that I go away. For if I do not go away, the Comforter will not come to you. But if I depart, I will send him to you. And when that one comes, he will convict the world concerning sin, and concerning righteousness, and concerning judgment. Concerning sin, because they do not believe on me. Concerning righteousness, because I go to my Father, and you see me no more. Concerning judgment, because the ruler of this world is judged. I have yet many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. However, when he, the Spirit of truth, has come, he will guide you into all truth. For he shall not speak of himself, but whatever he hears, he shall speak, and he will announce to you things to come. he will glorify me, for he will receive of mine and will announce it to you. All things that the Father has are mine. Therefore, I said that he will take of mine and will announce it to you. A little while, and you will not see me. And again, a little while, and you will see me, because I go to the Father. When his disciples said to one another, what is this that he says to us? A little while, and you will not see me. And again, in a little while, you will see me. And because I go to the Father, what? Therefore they said, what is this that he says, a little while? Why do we do not know what he is saying? Then Jesus knew what they desired to ask him. And he said to them, do you seek answers with one another concerning this? Because I said a little while, and you shall not see me. And again, a little while, and you shall see me. Truly, truly, I say to you that you will weep and lament, but the world will rejoice. And you will be sorrowful, but your sorrow will be turned into joy. The woman has grief when she bears, because her hour has come. But when she brings forth the child, she no longer remembers the anguish, because of the joy that a man is born into the world. And therefore, you now have sorrow. But I will see you again, and your heart will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. And in that day, you shall ask me nothing. Truly, truly, I say to you, whatever you shall ask the Father in my name, he will give you. Before now, you have asked nothing in my name. Ask, and you shall receive, that your joy may be full. I have spoken these things to you in parables, but the time is coming when I shall no more speak in parables, but I will show you plainly of the Father. At that day, you will ask in my name. And I do not say to you that I will pray to the Father for you, for the Father himself loves you, because you have loved me and have believed that I came out from God. I came forth from the Father and have come into the world. Again, I leave the world and go to the Father. The disciples said to him, lo, now you speak plainly and speak no parable. Now we know that you know all things and do not need anyone should ask you. By this we believe that you have come forth from God. Jesus answered them, do you now believe? Behold, the hour comes, yea, has now come, that you will be scattered, each man to his own things, and you will leave me alone. And yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. I have spoken these things to you so that you might have peace in me. In the world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Jesus spoke these words and lifted up his eyes to heaven and said, Father, the hour is come. Glorify your Son, so that your Son also may glorify you, even as you have given him authority over all flesh, so that he should give eternal life to all you have given him. And this is the life eternal, that they might know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. I have glorified you upon the earth. I have finished the work which you have given me to do. And now, Father, glorify me with yourself, and the glory which I had with you before the world was. I have revealed your name to the men whom you gave to me out of the world. They were yours, and you gave them to me, and they have kept your word. Now they have known that all things, whatever you have given me, are from you. For I have given them the words which you gave me, and they have received them, and have known surely that I came out from you, and they have believed that you sent me. I pray for them. I do not pray for the world, but for those whom you have given me, for they are yours. And all mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I am glorified in them. And now I am in the world no longer, but these are in the world. And I come to you, Holy Father, keep them in your name, those whom you have given to me, so that they may be one as we are. While I was with them in the world, I kept them in your name. Those that you have given me, I have kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled. And now I come to you, and these things I speak in the world, that they might have my joy fulfilled in them. I have given them your word, and the world has hated them because they are not of this world, even as I am not of the world. I do not pray for you to take them out of the world, but for you to keep them from the evil. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. John 17:17. Sanctify them through your truth. Your word is truth. As you have sent me into the world, even so I have sent them into the world. And I sanctify myself for their sakes, so that they also might be sanctified in truth. And I do not pray for these alone, but for those also who shall believe on me through their word. Let me read that again, because that's talking to you. And I do not pray, Yeshua did not pray for just them, but he also prayed for you, for those who also shall believe on me through their word, that they all may be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be one in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. And I have given them the glory which you have given me, that they may be one, even as we are one, I in them and you in me, that they may be made perfect in one, and that the world may know that you have sent me and have loved them as you have loved me. Father, I desire that those whom you have given me, that they may be with me where I am, that they may behold my glory, which you have given me. For you have loved me before the foundation of the world. O righteous Father, indeed the world has not known you, but I have known you. And these have known that you have sent me. And I made known to them your name, and will make it known, so that the love which you have loved me may be in them, and I in them. Having spoken these words, Jesus went out with his disciples over the winter stream of the Kidron. He went across the Kidron Valley, where there is a garden. This is on Golgotha. And he and his disciples entered into it. And Judas, who betrayed him, also knew the place, for Jesus oftentimes went there with his disciples. Then Judas, having received a band and officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees, came there with lanterns and torches and weapons. Then Jesus, knowing all things that were coming upon him, went out and said to them, "Whom do you seek?" They answered him, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said to them, "I am." And Judas, who betrayed him, also stood with them. Then as soon as he had said to them, "I am," they went backward and fell to the ground. Then he asked them again, "Whom do you seek?" And they said, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus answered, "I have told you that I am. Therefore, if you seek me, let these go away, that the word might be fulfilled, which he spoke, of those whom you have given me, I have lost not one of them." Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear, and the servant's name was Malchus. Then Jesus said to Peter, "Put up your sword into its sheath. The cup which my Father has given me, Shall I not drink it? Then the band and the chiliarch and the under officers of the Jews together seized Jesus and bound him. And they led him away to Annas first, for he was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, who was the high priest that year. And Caiaphas was he who gave counsel to the Jews that it was expedient that one man should die for the people. So all that we have just read was the night before Yeshua was arrested, and pray after the evening and think about what you have just experienced, and then what Yeshua was going through this whole night. So if I can say one closing little prayer, if I may, and then I'll leave this up to Stuart. If you want to do the Torah portions, I'm not sure of the time there where you guys are. It's getting close to midnight for us here. We may stick around for a little bit, but the eyes are going to get heavy. Our Father, Jehovah, our King, our Lamb who died on our behalf, who became our Yeshua. You've been showing us this plan of salvation since Adam and Eve, and you made it clear with Moses after the Exodus. It starts with Passover. It starts with unleavened bread. That's not the end. Then there's Shavuot. Then there's the Day of Atonement, or Feast of Trumpets, Day of Atonement. Then there's Sukkot on the 8th day. And you've shown us this plan so that we can come to know you better. We keep this night as a memorial of the night that you were arrested, the night that you are betrayed, the night that you're going to suffer and be whipped and beaten, and in the morning at 9 a.m. you're going to be put on the tree and nailed to that tree. And at the end of tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to die, the same as the lambs all died, representing that Passover lamb that you are. I thank you, Father, for opening my eyes and calling me. I didn't want to come. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to know religion. I didn't want to know the Bible. I didn't want to know about you. But you called me. I wasn't looking for you. And yet you still called. Not just me, but all these people that are listening. You called them. The misfits, the screw-ups, the unwanted, the bottom of the barrel. You called us to be your witnesses, to stand guard over your Torah in these last days. You've shown us the Jubilee Cycle. You've shown us that we are definitely at the end of this age. And you've shown us proofs that we are beginning to understand your Jubilee Cycle correctly. You've called us to be your witnesses, to witness the mighty things that you're about to do. You've called us to stand strong. You've called us to love one another. We're still bickering like little immature children, Father, so I pray, help us to unite and to love one another, the same as my baby toe doesn't know how my ear works. We're all part of the same body, and we need each other. Help us to be united in love through your name. What is our role in these last days? Only you know, but you've called us to perform that job. not to be followers of other men, not to be sheep. You've called us to be guards of your Torah, teaching your Torah. You've called us to be your witnesses. So I thank you. I thank you with all my heart for doing that. I never thought that I'd be able to ever come to Jerusalem. And you've now brought me here 22 times. You've blessed me with being able to go to Mount Sinai and a number of people in this group. You've blessed me with being able to go to see Noah's Ark. Why? Why have I been so blessed? Why have others been so blessed to be able to do these things as well? Not just me. You're revealing your things that you've had hidden for centuries, millennium. You're now revealing them in this last Jubilee cycle. Noah's Ark, Mount Sinai. You've opened up Saudi Arabia so we can see them, so we can testify that you are real. And what you're about to do is not some religious game. So I thank you, Father, on behalf of those in this group who've been able to witness these things, those who are learning these things. I thank you on behalf of those who are just coming and starting to understand these things, and for revealing the calendar to us so that we can understand. I thank you, because it's not my brilliance or my genius. You revealed these things to us, to all of us. So I thank you. I thank you for what you did over 2,000 years ago, or almost 2,000 years ago, for us. I pray, Father, you will strengthen each person here to be strong in the face of what's coming, to be strong when they feel like they're all alone. And we all feel all alone so often. But when we know that we got brethren that think and understand our emotions and understand our hurts, it makes it better. So we pray, Father, for the unity of our brethren. And I just ask your blessing, Father. You've given us knowledge. Give us also the understanding, and give us the wisdom to discern truth from false. The deceptions that are going out now around the world. Help us to understand the truth from the lie, so that we can be your witnesses to the truth. Strengthen us, Father. Bless us with more knowledge and more understanding of your ways, so that we can come to know you much better than what we already do, if we do at all. Open our minds to your truths, not our traditions, not our pet things, but to your truths. And lead us to where you want us to go. And Father, we know that your anger is turned into fury, and your judgment is now upon not just the house of Israel, but the entire world. You've told us to go hide for a while until your fury passes. But I pray, Father, I beg, in your fury, don't forget us. Don't forget that we are weak, that we are fragile, that we are helpless. Don't forget us. We need you to keep our strength. We need you to watch over us. And we just pray that you will continue to be with us throughout this time of judgment that is now here, and that you will bring us to unity in your faith, not just the messed up messianics, but also the house of Israel with the house of Judah. We both need each other, more so now than ever. We just ask this, and we thank you for what you did on our behalf on this day for all mankind. Amen. And I'm now gonna throw it back at you, Stuart. And you can, if you want to carry on with the Torah portion, that's up to you. If you want to double them up for next week, we can do that as well.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. And I think that there may be an interest in going through the readings now, but why don't we see a show of hands? If you're interested in going through the readings now, and we still have our readers, or we'll find new readers, put your hand up. We won't allow anybody to leave now if they want to, and get themselves ready for this evening or wherever you are. It might be morning. But if you want to stay on and have readings, please stick up your hands.
If you go down to the little happy face in the bottom, reactions, you can see the hand there. You can click on it. Did mine work?
Okay, wonderful. Well,
Yeah,
so that's what we'll do. We'll stay on, and we'll do our readings for this week. And it is 3:30 my time, so it's 4:30 in the Eastern Seaboard. But if you want to leave, leave when you can and continue on for your day.
It's 11:30 here in Tel Aviv, so I'm going to stick it out for a little bit, but
Anita has asked if we do the readings, can we make it a separate recording? So should I stop the recording and make a second one for the Torah portions?
okay, why not?
Yeah, that first session was intense, tear-filled.